Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Hilliard MacBeth, author of the second edition of the book, When the Bubble Burst, Surviving the Canadian Real Estate Crash. He's also a portfolio manager and financial advisor in Edmonton. His website, macbethgroup.com. Welcome back to the show, Hilliard.
Always a pleasure to be on your show.
Hilliard, we were talking last time about what's working, what's not working as we try to get through the economic mess caused by not just the coronavirus, but also the collapse in the markets back in March. And as we climb out of that, are there any bright spots that have caught your eye? Let's go positive first. Yeah,
well, positive is, the Tesla. So if you, never mind owning the car, if you own shares in Tesla, you basically got about a 5-fold increase in your shares from the beginning of the year. And it's just an amazing story. The market cap of Tesla is in the hundreds of billions now. And, of course, they don't have the sales that Volkswagen or Toyota have, but the value of the company is much bigger than either one of those companies now, even though the sales are a tiny fraction of those companies. So a lot of people are betting on the future, and they see Tesla as the future and Volkswagen as the past, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Now, does Volkswagen have to make a major charge into the electronic car space? And also, is this going to be like the start of the automobile business at the turn of the last century, when there were literally thousands of manufacturers, and then we got down to about 10?
It's a good question. So Volkswagen and Toyota are the two biggest in the world. They're roughly equal, and they've sort of taken different routes to get here. Volkswagen probably had the best chance to be the rival to Tesla because they've got a big presence in China, where electric cars are much bigger than they are in North America. But Volkswagen got caught up in that diesel scandal in Europe. They were selling cars that were cheating on the emissions. So when they got caught in that, they had to pay a big fine, and they had to do some make amends. And one of the amends they had to make was in the United States of America. They had to get involved in building out a charging network for electric cars. So that was the deal that was made, on top of billions of dollars of fines. But it's kind of disappointing. So they've been involved in that. So they've got, I think, the best opportunity to be the non-Tesla competitor. But they seem to have stalled out. They had one of the things that's different about Tesla is they started with a blank sheet of paper, and they designed the car with a computer that's the core of the car. So basically, it's the computer is totally involved in every aspect of the car, whereas regular cars, they have a regular system, and then they've got mini computers, dozens of them throughout the car. But each computer is only just really a chip that's designed to control one aspect of the car, and there's no central processing unit. So Volkswagen tried to get the software going, and they've had to backtrack on that. So now their electric offering is stalled. So, but the other thing that's so Volkswagen and Toyota are both kind of stalled. One possibility is that they're so involved in the old technology, the internal combustion engine technology. They have plants all over the world, and how do you walk away from all those assets? And also there's union contracts with most of those plants, and the union contracts are tied to the physical plant location. So the unwinding of that and the transition to electric is turning out to be a huge challenge for those companies.
Now, does this mean that most people feel oil is dead, or in some places like China, electric cars have been mandated, they have to go to them?
Well, I don't think oil is going to end. Like the numbers are, like there's 1 billion cars worldwide, and 99.9% of them are oil or diesel based. But every year there's about let's say 80 million cars produced, and now there's maybe 5 million electric. Those aren't necessarily the exact numbers, but that's roughly the scale of it. So at that rate, at 5 million per year, to replace 1 billion cars, it would take what is that, 200 years, something like that. So obviously oil is going to be around powering a lot of vehicles for a long time, but on the other hand, cars only usually last about 10 to 12 years maximum. So as the cars basically run out of lifespan, if they come to the end of their life and they go to the junkyard, the new cars will be electric. So most of the car sales in China, which is the largest car market in the world, at about 24 million or something per year, prior to the downturn, most of the new cars are still to first-time buyers. So people that have never owned a car, they had a bicycle and now they're getting a car. So, and the incentives in China are such that there's a big preference for electric, over, the other cars. So, that is going to eventually have a big impact on the number of cars in the world. But even at that, it's still going to be too slow to cause oil to disappear in the next decade or two. So the only way that oil could disappear for transportation, because oil is used for plastics and other things too, of course, would be if the government stepped in and said, okay, we're going to compensate you for the loss of those stranded assets, and we're going to give a big incentive to the consumer to switch over sooner. And that's a possibility. The Democratic candidate in the U.S., Joe Biden, is bringing out today, I haven't seen the details yet, but he's bringing out the new program for a new energy, clean energy deal, $2 trillion spending program. And I don't know if there's going to be a program to turn in your old car to buy a new electric car in that. I kind of doubt that it'll be there because they have to wait for the GMs and the Chryslers and the Fords of the world to have a genuine offering before they can do that, because Tesla couldn't possibly handle all the sales if everybody could turn in their old car and get it with a big subsidy and then get a new one. So but it's probably going to happen a lot faster than people think, but we'll still have oil for at least 10 or 20 more years.
We'll have more with Hilliard MacBeth right after this.
Cypress Development Corp is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, Recycling Trade Publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Hilliard MacBeth. Hilliard, a lot of the measures taken by the Canadian government to help smooth over the COVID crisis, the CERB, the emergency refund or benefits to people who have lost their jobs or their income. There's a 75% wage subsidy available and also deferred mortgages. First of all, the CERB was supposed to only be 16 months. It's going to be longer. Is it long enough?
Well, yeah, 16 weeks, and it's going to be 24 weeks now. So it's been extended into October 3rd of 2020. So, and I guess the premise on that is that people will have their old job back by October. So hopefully they will, because the mortgage deferral, which was a maximum of 6 months, most of the people that are on mortgage deferrals are slated to come off of that around the end of September, because they applied in March when this thing first hit. So, and then the wage subsidy, which is where the employer gets 75% of the cost of employing that individual paid by the government, it's extended now to December. So between September, October, and December is when all these subsidies are slated to come off. And hopefully there's an economy for those people that are going to be no longer subsidized to go back to. But, the news on the virus is not great. In parts of the world, the news is great, but in other parts of the world, like the U.S., the news is pretty grim. So we don't know what to expect. And I heard yesterday that WestJet, for example, is putting a whole bunch of flights back on, including Calgary to Paris and a bunch of domestic flights that have been canceled, and now they're back in operation. But what if people don't show up? What if people feel that it's too risky to go on a plane and sit with a bunch of other people for 2 or 3 hours, or in the case of Paris, it would be more like 7 or 8 hours. And if they don't feel comfortable, it doesn't matter. If you open up the bars, the restaurants, the hotels, and the airplanes, but nobody shows up, then you haven't really got an economy. Just because you opened up doesn't mean that the economy comes back. So it's a very uncertain time, that's for sure.
We'll have more with Hilliard MacBeth right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Hilliard MacBeth. Hilliard, what's going on with Canadian real estate right now?
Well, the stories are amazing. In Toronto, and mostly Toronto, but also in Edmonton, even in Calgary and Vancouver, there seems to be a number of people that are cruising around because prices have sagged a little bit. They figure this is the time to get in, and I don't know. They're taking their COVID CERB payments or whatever and buying. I don't know, but it's a pretty amazing situation, and of course, if the economy doesn't come back, roaring back by September, when all these deferrals end for the mortgages, any kind of an uptick that you get now in the summer is not going to last beyond September, because I'm sure that at least some percentage of those mortgage deferral people are going to be in trouble. It's almost 15 to 20% of the people with mortgages are on deferral right now. So, most of them probably. As people have told me, most of them are just taking the deferral out of an abundance of caution. But if even 1 in 20 of them is doing it because they don't have the money, then you're going to have a default rate of 1% of mortgages. And none of the models that the banks or any of the underlenders are using are allowing for anywhere near that much default on mortgages. The assumptions in the bank forecasts of earnings is for 0 defaults on mortgages. They're expecting defaults on car loans and credit cards and all that, but they're not expecting any defaults on mortgages. So it'll be a huge shock to the system if when those deferrals end, even a small fraction of those people just show up and say, you know what, I can't pay my mortgage anymore. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. So it'll be, the people that are, maybe they're bored because they don't have anything else to do. They're all chasing around looking for places to buy. The other thing that could be more of a permanent trend in real estate is people wanting to get out of the cities and buy places in outside of Toronto and outside of Edmonton and Calgary, there seems to be a trend on that, and that's going to be devastating for the condominium business because almost all the condominiums, of course, are right in downtown of the big cities. And there's a tremendous amount of product that's come on stream in the last 4 or 5 years. Half of it, as much as half of it or even more, has been bought by speculators. And they're planning to rent it out or flip it or whatever their plan is, speculate in some way. And if people are trying to get out of the major cities and move to a more suburban or even a rural place, because they can work from home and they don't have to go to the office every day, that trend will be absolutely a game changer. The other thing in Edmonton and Calgary is Edmonton's got 19% office vacancy and Calgary's got 29% office vacancy. And those numbers are certainly understated because there's a bunch of people with more space than they need, but it's counted as fully occupied until the lease expires. So once those leases expire, those numbers will go even higher. And so that bodes very negatively for downtown, and that's where most of the expensive real estate is downtown. So I would encourage people to think twice before they start to speculate on high-rise living in the downtown areas of the big cities in Canada, because there's a shakeout coming there for sure.
Hilliard, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Nice to be on the show again.
My guest has been Hilliard MacBeth, author of the second edition of the book When the Bubble Burst, Surviving the Canadian Real Estate Crash. His website, macbethgroup.com. You can find him on Twitter at HMACB, HMACB. If you have any questions for Hilliard or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter at House Street. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HoweStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HoweStreet.com radio is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.